Hey man,
Hey Art, what's up, man? How are you?
good morning. I'm sorry I'm late, man. There's just a lot of family stuff going on. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. No, you don't need to apologize to me. I know you've got stuff going on. I appreciate you just taking time to talk to me, man. This is awesome.
Awesome. Thank you. How are you this morning?
I'm good, man. I'm St. Patrick's Day, festivities here locally yesterday was busy, but feeling good. No hangover for me. I know you're many years sober, so no concern there, right?
Yeah, I don't yeah. My I'm about half Irish. I'm half Greek and the rest of me is a mutt, but it's mostly different versions of Irish, right? It's kind of, white trash, Southern, lots of Irish, Scottish. Where are you at?
I'm in Saginaw, Michigan. So you and I met. You played Bay City, the Rib Fest, a couple of years ago. You and I met there.
Yeah,
Brought you on stage, and then yeah, you're coming to Flint here this Saturday.
very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I'm excited to come back to Michigan. As I told you before, all my siblings were born in Michigan. One in Flint, two in Detroit, and then one was born in North Carolina. But yeah, my family lived in Michigan most of the '50s until my mom saw the Rose Parade on TV, and it was like 40 below in Detroit. You know,
Yeah,
because
it's
my
it
dad's
was
great. Yeah.
it was
Were
70
you?
degrees here like last week, and it was snowing yesterday during our big St. Patrick's Day parade here locally. So I understand your mom seeing the Rose Parade and going, you know what, get me the hell out of here.
Yeah. Well, she's just like, it was like going into 1959, like New Year's Day, 1959. And she was working at Stouffer's, which was a department store. And she was working in the restaurant as a waitress at Stouffer's. And my dad was working in the car, in the auto plants, but he was laid off. And there, you know, it was like so cold and rainy and snowy and sleety outside and just frozen. And they wheeled in a color TV that they had never seen into the break room, right? And to watch the Rose Parade. And she saw sunshine and people in like bathing suits twirling batons. She goes, "We're going there. We're going there."
Yeah, well,
And yeah, within like 6 months, they're in the Buick heading to California. That's
I've
where I
got
was born. Yeah.
I've got some bad news for you. If you're coming to Flint this Saturday, there's a chance you're going to see the sleet and the snow and all that because we've been all over the place. So hopefully you don't mind that sort of winter weather.
No, but I thank you for the. I got to dress appropriately because this is like overdressed for me, right? You know,
Yeah, you're going to need a
this is
little bit
more.
more than that coming to Flint.
Yeah, it got down to a brisk 58 last night.
Oh yeah, rough life, man.
Man, you guys would be walking around in thongs and t-tops.
No doubt. Oh, for
Tube
sure,
top.
100%. Yeah, you would have saw people rocking shorts yesterday on the at the parade and at the races.
Yeah,
Um,
I know.
we're
I
excited to
know.
have you back here in Michigan, and I know that a couple of years ago you guys were celebrating your 30th anniversary as a band. 2024, not quite celebratory just yet, but I know that coming up here soon you'll be celebrating the 30th anniversary of Sparkle and Fade. And as someone who grew up listening to that album and seeing live in Stone Temple Pilots today announcing 30th anniversary tours and seeing Nine Inch Nails celebrating the 30th anniversary of Downward Spiral. It's hard for me to wrap my
Uh,
head around a third album being around 30 years that I grew up listening to. And I'm curious,
I
I
know.
know how much albums mean to fans and stuff, but as the guy that wrote it, the guy that recorded it, the guy that got to experience, Santa Monica blowing up. When you think about, man, 30 years of an album, what does it feel like for you?
I have to really think about it because it's not like I've been away from it. It's not like something I've been away from. I play that record, songs from that record damn near every day. I when I'm on tour, we do so many shows, as you know, we're doing 100 shows this year. So we're playing every weekend. And then in the fall, we're doing a big 6 week tour, bus tour with a couple other 90s bands, which I can't tell you who they are yet, but we'll announce it pretty soon. But um, and we have an offer from Flint. I don't know if we're going to be coming, but we definitely have an offer from them. But to be honest with you, Matt, it's just like, you know, man, think about it like this. So when that record came out in 1995, right? Came out in 95. And by the way, we are doing a 30th anniversary remaster, songs that people haven't heard, versions of different songs. It's going to be really cool. I'm working on that right now for next year, and it's going to be on vinyl too, for sure. But as far as I mean, think about it. It's like if that record had come out 30 years earlier, like in 1995, that would have come out in 1965. It's just that boggles my mind. That's when I was 3. You know,
Yeah.
30 years is a long time. And it's just like, yeah. And we've all grown old, some of us gracefully, not necessarily me. You look good.
Thank you.
You know, but it's just like, you know, it's Stone Temple Pilots, Downward Spiral. I mean, all these just classic records, right? And it's exciting. It's really exciting to be a part of it, because I really think a lot of music, good music, is still valid even 30 years later. I think it still holds up. And those albums that you're talking about, I think they still hold up. And obviously, to a lot of people, Sparkling Fate still holds up, because I get probably more requests for that. It's probably half and half between that and Afterglow, you know. But people who found us on Sparkling Fate are like really, like, you know, kind of Everclear elitist. You know, not as much as the ones that say they found us on World of Noise. No, man, I've been listening to you since 91. I go, well, that's kind of crazy, because I didn't put out World of Noise until 93. So I don't know how that happened. But yeah, you know, it's just interesting to see. And it's actually very flattering when people make up stories about, you know, being a part of your experience back in the day, you know, being OG and all this. And, you know, I don't take offense at it, because I think it's very flattering.
You know, I was reading about
that far as like art. Go ahead.
Oh, I was reading about the Whiskey album, the Whiskey A Go Go live album, and that you guys had never played there up until you released that. I'm curious if, you know, if anybody ever claimed to, like, oh, I saw you back in 92 at the Whiskey, knowing that you had never played there.
Yes, actually, people have said that. You know, yeah, I saw you at the Whiskey in 95. I go, no, that wasn't the Whiskey. Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't the Whiskey. And I'm like, who did we play with? And I'm like, yeah, we did play the Troubadour. We did play the Troubadour in 95, and we played the Roxy. We did 5 shows at the Roxy in March of 96, like when Sparkling Fit was blowing up. Instead of playing one big show, we played a bunch of shows at the Roxy, and it was awesome. And all these famous Hollywood people came out, and it was just like, so that's what this feels like. Okay. All right. I've seen it happen to other people. That's cool. It was pretty exciting. I wish I had savored all that stuff more, you know, because I kind of put the blinders on and wouldn't allow myself to really enjoy it. But yeah, looking back on it, I wish I had savored it a little bit more.
Yeah, it sounds like when Sparkle and Fade came out and Santa Monica Hits, you guys sort of went from, you know, one level and made the big jump, because Santa Monica was such a big song, and is still such a big song, that you guys sort of almost skipped a level where you missed the Whiskey totally, and you're playing a bigger venue already.
Well, you know what's interesting is not just Everclear has never played the Whiskey. I never played the Whiskey ever in any of the many bands I've been in. Growing up, I played all the other the Central, which became the Voodoo Lounge, and all these famous clubs and venues. But I'd never played the Whiskey. My friends played the Whiskey. I roadied for bands that played the Whiskey back in the late 70s, early 80s. I used to deal drugs and bring them to the whiskey and, you know, do bad things backstage. And I remember having sex with this guy's girlfriend while he was on stage at the whiskey. Drugs and alcohol. But what are you going to do? But I never played there. And so when they offered us that to play there as the last show of the 30th anniversary tour, I'm like, and we could have played, you know, we played bigger places, but I'm like, oh, let's play there. Let's just do one show. And then someone goes, you want to record it? And I'm like, okay. And it was a label guy that it was a friend of mine from way back, and he has a new label. And I'm like, he's like, we'll pay for it and do all this stuff. I go, no, I'll pay for it. I'll do it. And if I like it, if it came out good, I'll give it to you. I'll sell it to you then. But I'm not, you got to see, because it's one show. You never know, you know, it's one show. And we had a lot of technical things go wrong, but the performance was really tough and it sounded really good. So I didn't have to tweak it very hard at all. It was pretty much there. Just give it to Jim Kaufman, my co-producer and mixer, and he just made it sound great.
When you talk about those iconic venues, and you guys have played, I mean, you just did solo shows in Australia. You guys have played all over the world. The Whiskey, an iconic venue that you guys just played for the first time, you know, back in 2022. Now that that's sort of off the list, is there a spot that you haven't played that you would like? I'm sure there is. What's that one place that you haven't played yet?
There's two. There's a place here in, actually there's three. There's the venue where the Lakers used to play and the Kings used to play, right? And where I saw Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, like Rush, Tom Petty, Springsteen, so many bands. It was like it was the arena to go see concerts, the big arena called the Forum, the LA Forum. And I never played there, still haven't. And the Hollywood Bowl, never played there. I've been there. I've been backstage there. I've even stood on the stage while people were playing. I've never played there. And the other place that's kind of a bucket list place I want to play is in Colorado, the Red Rocks. Never played that. I'd like to. You know, we're getting towards the end of the career here, so, you know, well, you never know. It could come up. Hope it does.
Is it tough going to those venues to see like your friends play and stand on stage and having not played it yet? Does that suck?
No. I'm just like, wow, how exciting. That's so exciting for them. I want this too, but I don't get jealous about that. You know, it's, to me, music isn't a competition. It's like, I want everybody to win. You know, if you make good music, people are going to buy the records, whether it's 1 or 5 or 50, you know, people are going to buy it. And I always felt like that. But there was a lot of people back in the 90s who were very competitive. And I never got that.
You know, it's interesting talking about the 30 years and all these bands celebrating anniversaries. I'm curious with how much the music industry has changed, and you've been in it now for 30 plus years. And now it's, I mean, even you guys haven't put out a full-length album of new stuff in a long time, and bands now are putting out singles as opposed to albums. Do you think Everclear would be as successful now in 2024 doing what you did in 1994, 95?
You mean if that music was in vogue now, like it was then?
Yeah.
I think so. But it's a different game. You know, the labels are a different thing. It used to be labels, money was shooting out of the ground, literally. You know, it wasn't really like they give you big advances or this or that. They weren't giving you anything, because it was basically, you come up with the music, you write it, you produce it, you do all the work, all the sweat equity. And you would think with sweat equity like that, and they're putting up the money and the wherewithal to work the record, because they've got a lot of talented people, you think it would be like a joint venture, like 50-50. Not even close. They even back in the day, they would get 90, a good baby deal, you got like 3%, you know? And I negotiated for up to like 5 and 6 after our success. But it still wasn't a very good deal. These days, they want a piece of everything. They call them 360 deals. And if you sign to a major label, that's one reason I haven't been on a major label for the last 20 years. It's not because they haven't asked. I just don't want to be on it because they want a big percentage of your touring, your VIP, your merchandise, basic, and your publishing. They want a piece of everything. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, it's I have a lot of bands that come to me because I work for the radio station, and they want to know what they have to do. What do we have to do to get noticed? What do we have to do to make our market? It's more difficult now than it ever has been because it's just not the way it once was. And like you said, I mean, record labels don't have the money they once did. They're also not offering stuff up to rock bands like they once did. It's tough out there.
They have the money. They just don't the whole idea of making like a 40% profit, which used to be the norm after the Shark Tank and after Trump and after all that, everybody wants 1,000% return. And the only way to get that, if you manufacture, is manufacturing in a third world country, right? And using slave or indentured or child labor, like China or somewhere like that. That's the only way you can make those kind of percentages. And the music industry is like, we want that kind of profit. They don't want the profit they used to have. They used to be in the long game. And that's why there was albums. They would develop bands and they would develop artists, and to a point that they would make money for them. These days, it's all singles. They won't even sign you if you don't have a hit, if they don't think you have a hit song. And most of the major labels are signing bands that already had success on like TikTok or Insta or YouTube, So the whole development of artists is gone. The best place you're going to find that is on an indie label. Even some of the bigger indie labels are trying to get pieces of other pieces of your income as well. It's a dicey time to be a musician. I'm glad I'm not coming up now. I really am. It's harder now.
Do you think you would have been able to do the TikTok stuff if it was a thing back in 1995? Would you be able to crank out TikToks while you're on the tour bus?
I don't know if I would have wanted to. I don't like letting people have that much access to me. I mean, we do VIP stuff and we do all that, which is access oriented, and it's an income stream because we don't have that income stream of selling records anymore because no one buys records, right? They stream them. And so that's not, but incidentally, that's not why I'm not making a new record right now. I'm not making a new record because I've just made enough records. I've made with Everclear and singles and soundtrack songs and other bands I've made like 13 or 14 records that I've written and produced. I don't really feel the need to make another record right now. Doesn't mean I won't, but I just don't feel it right now. But I did sit down the other day and come up with 4 or 5 new ideas for songs. So I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe you can release some singles.
Really cool ideas.
You can put them out on TikTok. Who knows?
Well, that's the plan. That's the plan, is to just release them as singles, do little videos for them, put them on TikTok, put them out on YouTube. And that's what we did on our last single, Sing Away, which is one of the studio tracks from Live at the Whiskey A Go-Go. And that got played on radio stations in a way that we haven't been played in decades. So you never know. It's interesting. But one thing it really showed us, like touring the last 2 or 3 years since COVID, our fan base is getting younger. We get about, I'd say 20% of the people who are coming to the shows are word of mouth kids from like anywhere from 15 to 30. But these are kids that weren't even around for the most part when we made those records. They were either not born yet or too young to know. And some of them are getting it from, parents or brothers and sisters or aunts and uncles. But a lot of them are just kids that are looking for rock and roll and are not into contemporary bands or music. And so they gravitate to the 90s. I asked these kids, how did you come to Everclear show and know all the words? And a large percentage of them, Matt, are just glomming on to us because they're looking for rock. And they think the 90s was the last era of like rock and roll. In a way, it kind of was.
Yeah, I mean,
Sad to
listen,
say.
I grew up. I mean, I'm a child of the '90s. I still own. I mean, I own the copy of Sparkle and Fade I bought in the '90s. I own so much for the Afterglow that I bought in the '90s. I'm still that person. So I totally get it, and I think it's cool when people of a younger age discover this stuff, whether it's because it ends up in a TikTok or it ends up in a TV commercial or whatever. Now they're diving into your back catalog, and now all of a sudden there's another 2 million views on Santa Monica or whatever. It's awesome that stuff still happens.
Isn't that a trip? And there's like people doing covers of Everclear songs, like doing like hillbilly. There's this one guy, this hillbilly band. They're not really hillbillies. They're like, white kids from Chicago, but they're doing like, kind of, like cool hipster country stuff with the hats and everything. And they're doing Santa Monica, or they're doing I Will Buy You a New Life, or Wonderful. I saw someone playing Wonderful on a banjo, and it's got like 800,000 hits. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, is Brendan Brown from Wheatus. And over the last year and a half, someone took, Teenage Dirtbag and made it into a TikTok.
Blew up.
It just blew up all over the world. His money from publishing just went through the roof, through the roof. And he was about to renegotiate his publishing deal, which was already pretty good. But after that, he put the brakes on it. He goes, let's just wait and see how this plays out, boys. And he signed a big deal. He bought houses for his people in his family, which is really cool.
That's pretty incredible.
Stuff like that. I bought my mom. Yeah, I took care of my mom like that when success happened. It's cool. It's cool to make that kind of generational wealth. I don't make that kind of money now. I never really did make it like he's making it, because that song is, Teenage Dirtbag is just one of those songs that people from like India know.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how like you go into a pub in England or in the UK or in Europe or in anywhere, South America, and these people a lot of them can't even speak English, but they're singing the lyrics to that song. It's crazy. It's that universal. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Brendan's awesome.
Yeah, it was
But
cool.
don't tell him I said that.
I won't. No, he won't see this. It'll be fine. It was cool to see that blow up. Now we just got to get the guy who did the Teenage Dirtbag TikTok to take an Everclear song and do the same thing. Let's make it happen all over again.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's that kind of song, but we'll see. The sad thing is I don't own the publishing to that song anymore. Any of the older stuff. Lost it in a bankruptcy in 2003. Is what it is.
We'll figure something else out.
There you go.
Well, we are excited to we're excited to welcome you back to Michigan, man. We're excited to have you back here in Flint coming up on Saturday. Tickets are available. Capitol Theater down there in Flint, Everclear, Saturday night. Art coming back to town with the band. If you missed him in Bay City at the Rib Fest a couple of years ago, or maybe you saw them and want to see him again, they'll be at the Capitol Theater coming up on Saturday. Art, man, this has been awesome. You're incredible. I've been a big fan for a long time, man. So it was exciting to introduce you on stage a couple of years ago, and stoked to get even 30 minutes of your time today.
It was always a pleasure to talk to you, Matt. Hopefully you can come out. It's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Art.